Hello everybody, it's Mel and Shade. Thank you for joining me today for my 50 books to read before I turn 50. So recently I went through and had a look at my 45 books to read before I turn 45, and I don't think I did that well. So I would like to see if I can do better. Also, I did ask for comments and feedback as to whether or not I should do a 50 before 50, and the vast majority of those of you who watched my recap said that yes, they thought that I should. So that's what I'm doing today. I have 50 books that I would like to read before I turn 50. Now, sorry, the cat is once again sitting on the microphone, which means you will be hearing her purring. But anyway, let's just carry on. I will be 46 tomorrow when this video goes up. It will go up the day before my birthday. I'm filming a few days out, but as of tomorrow when you see this, I will be 46, which gives me 4 years until I turn 50, and hopefully I will have read, if not all of these, then the vast majority of them. So, because we have 50 books, it's going to be a long video. I therefore am not going to go into a huge amount of detail about what these books are, but I will give you a little bit of information about why they're on the list. And I've broken them up into kind of groupings to help me do that. Yeah, let's dive in. The first grouping that I have here are books that I have borrowed. So the first one of these is The Secrets of Jin Shay by Alma Alexander. I believe this is a historical fiction set in China. Yes, medieval China. I don't really know anything more about this. My sister lent this to me quite a long time ago now because she thought that I would enjoy it, and it does seem like the kind of book that I would be interested in, but I just haven't got around to... I'm going to have to move this mic. Excuse me, kitty. Ow, don't bite me. She does not like it when I attempt to move her. I just haven't got around to reading it, so hopefully I will read it within the next 4 years. But yeah. Then I have Daughter of the Forest by Juliet Marillier. I believe this is also historical fantasy though. I think it is a Irish myth retelling. I've heard great things about this one, great things about Juliet Marillier in general. I borrowed this off my friend Bibiana, and I really need to give it back to her because I borrowed it a while ago. And you've heard me say all this before, so hopefully I will read this sooner rather than later. I do have plans for this year, so we'll see how we go. Then I have The Power and Promise by Margot Neal and Lynn Kelly. This is in the First Knowledges group of series of books. It's Songlines, I think is the... yeah, Songlines, and then The Power and the Promise. This was lent to me by my parents who think that I would really, really enjoy it. I believe that it is a... yeah, it's a non-fiction, and it's talking about Indigenous ways of thinking, basically. So at some point, hopefully, I'll get to that as well. And then my parents also lent me The Natural Navigator because, again, they think that I would enjoy it. This is by Tristan Gooley. It's a non-fiction as well, and I think it is talking about using the environment to navigate, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's about as much as I know. But yeah, Mum and Dad think I would enjoy that as well. Then I have a few books that were lent to me by my friend Tanya. So the first of these is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's about writing, basically. So I definitely want to read this at some point. And again, it was lent to me quite a while ago, so I do need to get to it. She also lent me Airframe by Michael Crichton. I have read one Michael Crichton book before. I enjoyed it. It was Jurassic Park, so I'd like to read some more of his. Tanya has recommended this one. I believe this is a standalone science fiction. This next book is actually in two categories. So it was lent to me by Tanya, but it's also part of the next category, which is series that I need to continue or finish. So I just mentioned Jurassic Park, which I have read a couple of times now, really, really enjoyed. And this is the second book in that. I believe it's a duology, The Lost World. So it follows on from Jurassic Park being a science fiction about people who brought dinosaurs back and made a, like, zoological park kind of thing. This is the follow-on from that, and I've heard great things. Tanya really enjoys this one and recommended it, so I'd like to finish the duology at some point. Maybe I'll read Jurassic Park first. I probably should borrow that off Tanya too, but anyway, yeah, The Lost World. Alright, so the next few books are in series that I want to continue with or finish, depending on where the authors are in the series and whether they have actually been finished themselves or not. So the first of these is a final book in a series, and that is, I think it's a final book in the series. I didn't know it existed, so who knows, but it is the third book in, I believe, a trilogy by Pat Barker. This is The Voyage Home. This is a series of books looking at the Trojan War from a feminist perspective, and this follows, in particular, Cassandra and Clytemnestra. So Cassandra is the kind of war wife, spoils of war, slave to Agamemnon, and Clytemnestra is his actual wife who's been waiting at home for them to return. So I've really enjoyed the first two books in the series, and I'd really like to continue / potentially finish the series, hopefully sooner rather than later. So there's that one. Then we have the 10,000 Stitches by Olivia Atwater. This is the second book in, I believe it's more of a companion series than a direct follow-on, but this is, I'm not 100% sure what the series is called. I think it's, oh yes, Regency Fairy Tales. So the first book was Half a Soul, which I read a few years ago now and really enjoyed. I am really excited to read this one. This was given to me by my sister Carol for my birthday a couple of years ago, and I still haven't got around to it yet, but I do really want to read it and continue with that series. I believe there are 3 books in the series, so I'd like to continue with that again, hopefully soon. Then we have 2 books in the same series, and they are technically actually 4 books, but I have 2 books that have got 2 different volumes, if that makes sense. We have the Murderbot Diaries. So I have volume 2 and volume 3. No, sorry. I have volume 2, which is the volume 2 and 3, which are the rest of the series. They are what is what I'm looking for? Novellas written by Martha Wells. It is sci-fi, futuristic sci-fi involving AI. Really enjoyed the first 2 novellas, so I'm excited to continue with the series, and I'd like to do that again sooner rather than later. A book that's actually technically on my TBR for this month, March, but I don't know if I'll get to it. Hopefully I will, and that is Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. This is the second book in a duology, a fantasy romance duology. I really enjoyed the first one, so I'd like to continue and finish the series. I don't have much else to say about it, but like I said, romantasy and quite well written. Another book in a growing series that started with what we thought was a standalone, and I believe the series is called The Roots of Chaos. This is Among the Burning Flowers, and the series is by Samantha Shannon. The first book in the series is The Priory of the Orange Tree. They're interconnected rather than directly sequels. So the first one was The Priory of the Orange Tree, and then the second one, A Day of Fallen Night, was, I think, 500 years prior to the Priory of the Orange Tree, and then this one I think is in between the two. It's much shorter, so I definitely will be able to read it quicker. I really want to get to it soon. I believe my friend Alison and I are going to be buddy reading this one in the next couple of months, so definitely, hopefully we'll finish that soon. And then the final book in this category of books that will continue / finish series that I'm currently reading, and that is Silverborn by Jessica Townsend. This is the 4th book in the Morrigan Crow series, or Nevermore series. So the first book was Nevermore. This is a middle grade fantasy, really fun, really well written. I really enjoyed the first 3, so I'm very excited to read this one. Yeah, I've heard great things about this. I actually saw the author talk about this, which was really fun, so I really want to give it a read, hopefully soon again. I've been a bit what's the word I'm looking for? Intimidated by the size, even though it's middle grade, but I do need to get to it. Then we have a grouping of books that I have technically started all of these books, but I will potentially probably have to restart all of them because I put them down for various reasons. Not because I didn't want to read any of them, otherwise they would have been DNFs and I wouldn't be putting them on this list. Mostly to do with having other things that came up for book clubs and things like that. So the first of these was a birthday present from my parents last year, and that is Surrender, 40 Songs Our Story by Bono. So this is Bono looking at 40 different songs from U2 and sort of talking about how those songs came out of their experiences and relate to their experiences as a band and as people in general. I still like U2, but I used to love U2, and so I believe my parents have read, or my dad at least has read this one, thought I would enjoy it, and I did enjoy what I'd read so far, but I haven't dove back into it. I'm not a huge non-fiction reader, so I need to get to it basically, but yeah, at some point I will. It's really quite chunky though, so it's again a little bit intimidating. The next book is also a present from my parents. I'm not doing very well on books given to me or lent to me by my parents. Sorry, Mum and Dad, if you're watching. But this is The Wartime Book Club by Kate Thompson. I did get about halfway through. I was buddy reading it with my friend Michelle, but then she wasn't really enjoying it, so she DNF'd it, and that, coupled with it being around June when the Amazing Readathon was happening, it just didn't, like, I put it down for other reasons, and it just didn't I didn't pick it up again because I had other things going on, you know how it is. But I was really enjoying it, so I do really want to probably restart it, but yeah, finish it. It is a historical fiction. It takes place in, not Guernsey, but somewhere like that. It's actually relatively similar to the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. So if you enjoyed that one, then maybe consider this one. Then I have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. I read again about half of this one, and again I think I put it down for another readathon, because of another readathon, and potentially even because of the Amazing Readathon. But I was really enjoying it, and I've heard great things about this series in general, so I'd like to pick it up and probably reread it and finish it, because I think I would really enjoy this one. So yeah, and it's relatively short. Okay, a not so short one. We have House of Flame and Shadow, which is the third Crescent City book by Sarah J. Maas. This is a fantasy romantasy, and like I said, it's the third book in the Crescent City series. I put this down because it turns out that I needed to read the next book in the ACOTAR series, which was Court of Silver Flames, before I could read this one. Even though they're separate series, it turns out that she's connecting them. So yeah, I've done that now, so I can now pick this one up, and I will restart it. But yeah, like I said, it is, I would call this more fantasy than fantasy romance, but there's definitely a strong romantic subplot, romantic element. Then I have The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is another fantasy. This is a genre blend. This is a fantasy mixed with mystery that I have heard amazing things about. I did pick this up for Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany, who is linked below, as is anyone else I mentioned, for her Patreon book club, and I didn't manage to read. I think I read like the first 2 chapters or something, but I was intrigued, and like I said, I've heard great things, so I do want to give that a try again at some point, hopefully relatively soon, but yeah, at some point. And then finally, in the list of books I've technically already started, we have, again, Rachel by Marian Keyes. This was sent to me by my lovely best friend Rachel, because we both love Marian Keyes. She introduced me to Marian Keyes. We both really love Rachel's Holiday, which is the first book. This is the follow-on too. This is technically part of the Walsh family books, but it follows all of them, but it's like the latest in the book, but it follows all of the books in the Walsh family books follow different sisters, and this is the second book to follow Rachel. We put it down because it had themes that both of us were finding difficult to read about, but I definitely want to read it. I really enjoy Marian Keyes, so I want to read this one. I really loved Rachel's Holiday, and yeah, just need to get around to that. The next category of books that I have are books by authors that I've read something of and would like to read more of. And these are books I own that they wrote that I haven't got to yet, if that makes sense. Okay, so first up we have Wolfsong by TJ Klune. The only TJ Klune that I've ever read was The House on the Cerulean Sea. I did really quite enjoy it, and I'd like to actually read the second one of that series, but this is the book of his that is on my list because it's the one I own. This was sent to me by, I didn't put the gift card in, I believe this was sent to me by Tracy. So thank you very much, Tracy. If it wasn't Tracy, I apologise. Whoever it was, thank you. I think this is a paranormal fantasy romance, and I've heard nothing but good things about it, so I'm intrigued to see what I think of it. Then I have A Narrow Door by Joanne Harris. I have absolutely loved all of the books of by Joanne Harris that I've read in the past. One of my favourite books of all time, Chocolat, was written by Joanne Harris. This is a mystery, I believe. Yeah, it takes place in a high school and there's a murder, and yeah, it sounds like it will be really, really good. Like I said, I've enjoyed her writing in the past. This was given to me by my friend Michelle a couple of years ago now, and I haven't got around to it yet, but I definitely really need to get to it soon because it's been on my shelf for quite a while and I really enjoy Joanne Harris. Then I have The Watchmaker of Filigree Street by Natasha Pulley. This is another historical fantasy with a little bit of romance, I think. I love historical fantasy. I've had this on my shelf for a long time and I don't even know why I haven't got around to it. I just haven't. But I read The Hymn to Dionysus by Natasha Pulley last year and really enjoyed it. It was my favourite book of 2025. So I'm really, really excited to give her another go. I have heard that it is fantastic and that I will really enjoy all the books she's written because she's amazing. So I'm excited to give this one a try. Then we have Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. So I read The Strange the Dreamer duology a few years ago now. Really, really enjoyed it and definitely keen to read some more of her work. Picked this up again a few years ago, but just haven't got around to it yet, so I'd really like to get onto this and give it a try. Love Laini Taylor's writing style. This is a fantasy as well. I think it is an urban fantasy. Yeah, because it takes place in Prague, or partly in Prague, so yeah, would like to try this one. Then I have Here One Moment by Leanne Moriarty. I bought this book from my friend Michelle for Christmas, along with another book, and she'd already read it, so I ended up accidentally hauling it. Anyway, I've read a lot of Leanne Moriarty's books before. They are kind of domestic thrillers, I guess you would say, and I really, really enjoy most of her books. I enjoy her writing style, and yeah, I've heard great things about this one. I believe it takes place, begins on a flight from Hobart to Sydney, so yeah, I'm excited to see because, like I said, I've heard great things. Then I have The Examiner by Janice Hallett. The only book of hers that I have read is the first book she wrote, or the first book that was published, The Appeal, which I really did enjoy, and I've heard great things about this one. I've heard great things about a lot of her work, but some people are a bit iffy on various things, but most people agree that this one's fantastic. So it is a mystery with like mixed media and stuff, and it's an interesting way of reading a book, which I didn't think I'd like, but I actually did really enjoy. I thought it was well done. So, well, The Appeal. So I'm excited to give this one a try. Then I have Cleopatra by Sarah L. Arifi. I don't know what the trilogy is called, but I think it's just the name of the final book, the series with the final strife in it. The Ending Fire is the name of the series. Anyway, I really, really enjoyed that series, thought it was fantastic, and this is a retelling of the story of Cleopatra, Empress of Egypt. I'm excited to read this one. It is reasonably short, and I would love to try some more of Sarah L. Arifi's writing. I thought that the Final Strife series was absolutely fantastic, and I really enjoyed it, so I'm excited to try some more from her as well. Plus, I always love a retelling. The Betrayals by Bridget Collins, another book I've had on my TBR for quite a long time now. I'll need to get to it. Absolutely stunning, of course. It is another book by Bridget Collins who wrote The Binding, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Now, I have heard that Bridget Collins might herself not necessarily be the nicest person, but I haven't heard anything terrible, just kind of not great. But anyway, I'm really intrigued to read this book, so yeah, I'd love to give it a try. Then I have The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. Now, I have a little bit of a mixed experience with Leigh Bardugo because I love her Ninth House series. I've read the first 2 books of that and really, really enjoyed them. And then I really enjoyed Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. But I didn't really like the first of hers, Grishaverse, Shadow and Bone. But I did really enjoy the TV show. I think it was just a bit young for me, but I did really enjoy the other books of hers that I've read. So I thought this sounded fantastic. It is historical fantasy, which I traditionally really, really enjoy. So I'm very excited to give this one a try. I just haven't quite got there yet, but definitely would love to in the next 4 years before I turn 50. And then the final book in this category is The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. This is a cozy fantasy. This is the second book in a series, the first of which was The Spell Shop. I'm not sure what the series is actually called, but anyway, that's not important. It is like another companion series, so I don't think you have to have read The Spell Shop, but I have and really enjoyed it, so definitely keen to read this one. The next category that I have are books that were gifted to me that I'd really like to get to sooner rather than later. The first of these is incredibly intimidating. It is huge. It is like 1,000 and something pages long. Yeah, 1,089 pages long with like Bible thin pages, so it's incredibly intimidating. It would take me so long, but my friends Dave and Catherine gave it to me thinking I'd really enjoy it. It has been long considered Japan's greatest work of literature and was one of the world's greatest novels. Written in the early years of the 11th century by the court lady Murasaki Shikubu, the long romance, first published in 1976. No, this translation was first published then. Was translated by Edward Seidensticker. But yeah, very interested to read it. Would really love to give it a go, but I'm just so incredibly intimidated by it. But I do need to give it a go, or at least try it. Don't know how long it will take me to read, but you know, I need to get to it at some point. Then I have Gone, which is the first book in, I think it's just called the Gone series by Michael Grant. I believe there are, on the back there seem to be 6 books in the series. They are young adult, kind of dystopian science fiction. My little sister again gave this to me for my birthday, and she really enjoyed this series, so she wanted me to read them. And I haven't got around to it. This was a few years ago now. Sorry, Carol. But I definitely want to get around to it because I know she really enjoyed it, and I do need to give it a try. So yeah, that's next on the list. Then my friend Ellie from Earl Grey Books sent me a few years ago again, The Great Believers by Rebecca Mackay. I've heard great things about this one. This is set in Chicago in 1984 and Paris in 2015. The Great Believers is a story of how love can both rescue and destroy us, a thrilling, addictive novel full of characters whom the reader comes to know as friends, colleagues and lovers. And I believe I've heard it comped to The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, which is a book that I did enjoy, so I'm excited to give this a try. It is one of Ellie's favourite books, so yeah, definitely give it a try, see what I think. And then the final book in this category is Where the Dark Stands Still by A.B. Poranek. This was sent to me by the lovely Wren from the Reading Wren. It's one of their favourite books, so I'd really like to give it a try. I believe it is a sapphic fantasy kind of horror, which I'm intrigued by. So yeah, really want to give it a try and see what I think. Hope I like it. Okay, then we have some books that have been on my TBR for quite a while. Quite a few of these have, but these ones have been on my TBR for quite a while, and I really need to get to them and give them a try. So the first one I have is The Seven Skins of Esther Wilding by Holly Ringland. Don't really know much about this one. I think it's like a little bit of a magical realism with a mystery as well. I've heard good things about this one. It's written by an Australian author, so it's not a hugely well-known book in general, but I've heard good things about this one. Plus it's a gorgeous cover, so I'd love to give it a try soon. Then I have Wild and Wicked Things by Francesca May. This one is one I picked up on a book shopping that I did in Melbourne with Ellie from Earl Grey Books and my friend Michelle. There is a video that we made for that one, so I will link that down below. Yeah, I've just heard great things about this one. It's another historical fantasy, and I'd love to, again, give it a try. A book that I bought for my own writing project, which I do need to give a read, is Lucky Broken Girl by Ruth Behar. This is a middle grade historical fiction, which is what I've written, so I need to read this one. A book that I have purchased quite a while ago and put on multiple TBRs at this point and still haven't quite got around to yet, and that is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. It was on recent TBR as a Latinx author. I've really enjoyed a couple of books by this author that I've read previously, so I'd like to give this one a try. And I guess I don't really know why, but I just keep not being drawn to it, even though I put it on my TBRs. So definitely want to give this a try soon. A book that I do also have plans for, which is The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss. I first heard about this one on Win from Literary and Diversion's channel. They really love this book, and I thought it sounded amazing, so I definitely want to give this a try. I've also heard Paige talk about how amazing this book is, so really want to read it, really want to enjoy it, but I just keep not picking it up. So I'm putting on this list to hopefully make me prioritize it. So this book was recommended to me by Crystal from Crystal's Next Chapter as a book that she thought that I would really enjoy. It was for a project that I did when my channel had turned 2, I think. I will link the video we made for that one down below as well. And yeah, she thought I'd really enjoy this one. It's one of her favourite books. It is The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. It is a historical fiction set in Alaska, and it does sound fantastic. I do enjoy historical fiction. I haven't been reading much of it lately, but I do enjoy it when I do read it. So I definitely want to give this a try soon, like I keep saying. Terry Pratchett, A Life with Footnotes by Rob Wilkins. This is a non-fiction about Terry Pratchett, who is the author of the Discord series, which is one of my favourite series of all time. Love Terry Pratchett's writing. I think he's really, really intelligent, really funny, and just amazing. So I definitely want to read this. I bought this a few years ago now when I went shopping with Meredith from Bin Chicken Books when she came down to see me, or came down to where I live and we caught up. Yes, I definitely really want to read this one. I don't read a lot of non-fiction, which I said before, so it's kind of been on the back burner, but I do need to give it a try. And then finally on this list is The Other Bennet Sister by Janice Hadlow. So one of my favourite books of all time, again, is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And this is the story of Mary Bennet, who is the middle sister and who is kind of ignored, really, in Pride and Prejudice. So I definitely really, really want to give this one a read. I've heard good things about this one. It's huge though, and that's another intimidating situation. Hopefully I'll love it. And then my final category is kind of more a miscellaneous category. I did call it just books I want to read, but there's no particular, like, it's not, they weren't sent to me by anyone, they weren't, you know, they're not particularly, there's no particular other reason other than I wanted to have 50 books and I wanted to read these books. So the first of these is another non-fiction, which is The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. I really love the Vlog Brothers, which is Hank and John's YouTube channel, where they both take turns each week, once a week, to make a video about what's going on in their world, their lives, etc. And I also really enjoyed John Green's books before. So I'm excited to read this one and see what I think. This is his first non-fiction book and I've heard good things. I actually bought this for my partner a few years ago now. He hasn't read it either, but anyway, at some point, one of us, hopefully both of us, will get around to it. Then I have Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. This is a historical fiction as well. And it is a bit of a feminist contemporary, if that makes sense, even though it's historical fiction. I don't know if that makes sense. And it's about a woman, Elizabeth Zott, who is a chemist, but she's also a woman in the 1960s, and she's given a cooking show, and she uses the cooking show to try and kind of teach women about chemistry. I've heard really great things about this one, so I really want to give it a try. I think I'll really, really enjoy it. Then I have The Guest Cat by Takashi Hirade. I just think this is really cute. I bought this again for my partner and I think it will be really cute and really fun. Tiny little book, so there's no real particular reason why I haven't read it yet. I just haven't, but it's definitely on the list. Another relatively small book, which is The Healing Season of Pottery by Yeon So-min. This is a book translated, it's a contemporary book translated from Korean, and it just sounds really lovely and really sweet. I think it'll be cozy and really nice. I bought it relatively recently, within the last 6 months, so it hasn't been sitting around for very long, but I do want to read it. So yeah, it's on the list. Then I have The Book of Heartbreak by Oba Seren. This is I think this is a fantasy, and it is loosely kind of inspired by Turkish history and mythology. I haven't really heard many people talk about it, but I do think it sounds really fantastic. Beautiful book. Another book that was given to me by my friend Michelle. Yeah, really want to give it a read. Then I have Boudica's Daughter by Elodie Harper. This is another mythology retelling of Boudica, who was a Celtic war chief, really famous, and I really, really want to read about her story. Plus, it's a gorgeous book. And then the final two books that I have are two books that are rereads, but they are the first books in series that I really want to read, and I feel like I need to reread these two books in order to continue with those series. So the first of these is The Way of Kings. This is actually part 1 by Brandon Sanderson. So this is an epic fantasy series, and yeah, I read this part 1 and part 2 quite a while ago now and never continued with them, so I'd really like to give them a try, or reread this and then continue with the series. Brandon Sanderson is a fantastic author who I need to read more of. And then finally, I have The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. This is the first book in the First Law trilogy. This is a grimdark fantasy series. This is one of my partner's favourite series of all time. And I read the first book. I did enjoy it. I didn't love it, but I did enjoy it. And I want to continue with the series, but I haven't got around to it yet. And now I need to reread it so I can continue with the series. And I really want to love it because I have really enjoyed the other 2 fantasy series that he has recommended to me. So I really want to enjoy this one as well because I really want to enjoy his favourite books. But anyway, that's everything. Those are the 50 books that I would like to read before I turn 50, which is in 2030, so in 4 years. Yeah, those are my 50 books. Let me know in the comments below if there are any books on this list that you also would like to read in the next few years, or if there are any books on this list that you have read and really enjoyed. Which ones should I prioritize? Please comment all that down below. If you'd like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then just leave me a stack of books emoji, because we have a bunch of stacks of books sitting here waiting for me to read them. But yeah, that's everything from me today. So thank you so much for joining me. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.